folks, Chris here. As you can see, I am in my Captain America t-shirt, one of a few that I own, and I am on my way to the geek showing of Captain America Civil War. And I will say right now, even though Superman and the Batman favorite two superheroes, I've been looking forward to Captain America Civil War more than any other movie coming out in 2016. So, very much looking forward to this. Right after this movie would be Star Wars Rogue One. I know that's not the official title, but I don't like the official title. So anyway, Rogue One. And this movie looks to be amazing. Reviews are out. I'm not reading them because I don't want to be spoiled. I'm on my way, by the way, 7 p.m. showing. It's 3:25. I'll be there a little early, as is my custom. But here in Lafayette, we don't have theaters that allow you to reserve seating, which I think is a bit of a bummer. I mean, it's a catch-22 because it doesn't. If you could reserve seating, somebody could take the seat you want anyway. I go early so I can get the seat that I want, which is under the projector. So whether I get that or not remains to be seen. I wanted to just, first of all, let you know that I'm going to be offering tomorrow on the Big Show with Chris Meaux a spoiler-free review of Captain America Civil War. I'm also going to be offering a video review, very short. I'm going to keep it at 5 minutes, and all of my reviews, good, bad, and ugly. So I'm not going to spoil anything for you. Some people may not be sold on this movie, and that's fine. I know a lot of people don't like the idea of superheroes fighting. I do want to just say, though, having just watched the first Avengers, Winter Soldier, and then Age of Ultron, the heroes have been fighting in these movies off and on, whether it's ideologically, whether they just argue, and in some cases they fight each other. I mean, Captain America and Iron Man, Steve and Tony, have been having this antagonistic relationship since moment one that we see them together on screen. Don't know if that's when they first met, don't think it is, but in Avengers, they have this instant kind of tension. So I think it's organic. It's not like they did with Batfleck v Not So Superman. They're like, hey, they're meeting for the first time. They should hate each other. Let's have them fight. Oh, wait. Spoiler, by the way, for that movie. I haven't seen it, but it's all over the internet. Oh, wait. Batman says, we both have a mother named Martha. Let's stop fighting and be BFFs and let's be super friends. No, ridiculous. So anyway, just want to offer a few predictions, too, while I'm talking to you here, while I've got your ears and eyes. Very briefly, I, of course, reread the comic book Civil War, which is going to be very different from this movie because the comic books are following very different storylines and histories than the movies are. And I'm not going to get into all that because your eyes will glaze over and you might pass out from boredom. But suffice to say, they're very different. However, there's one massive spoiler that doesn't happen in the Civil War comic, but it comes out of what happens in Civil War, and I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to mention that. I'm going to mention a couple of other things from the Civil War comic because they're not that big, but they are interesting. First thing is, I predict, kids, that we are going to see Tony Stark continue in the Marvel movies, but we are not going to see him as Iron Man, with maybe some exceptions. Here's why. Because in the comics, first of all, I should say this, superhero registration is something that I think is going to happen in this movie. I think it's inevitable. Just like in the comics, once that ball starts rolling and the government and the public cry out, we want our heroes to be registered, there's a tragedy that happens in the story in the comics. And of course, if you saw the other movies, you know what leads up to this. Sokovia, right? This city that was almost used to destroy the Earth by Ultron. Pretty big deal. People are not... And then the Hulk going crazy in Africa, right? So that plus New York and all these other things and the Winter Soldier events there and all the other standalone movies, people are mistrustful of superheroes at this point. And it all kind of makes sense. Some are and some aren't. But I think superhero registration is going to happen. I think it's going to happen in this movie like it did in the comic. Then I think Tony Stark will be director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now here's why I think that was set up. Because I noticed at the end of Age of Ultron, the only thing left is one helicarrier, right, and a few faithful agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and we do have Nick Fury, but we know that Robert Downey Jr. has said no Iron Man 4 is on the docket, and he's also made it pretty clear that he doesn't want to do an Iron Man 4. But we also know he's going to play a role of some kind in Spider-Man Homecoming, the first Marvel
Studios Sony Spider-Man film that comes out next year, 2017. So I believe that Tony Stark will become director of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think that Nick Fury, along with other superheroes that are against registration, they're going to go rogue. They're going to be the secret Avengers, as they were in the comics. And I think we're going to see Tony Stark, director of S.H.I.E.L.D., which makes sense because he's got the finances to rebuild S.H.I.E.L.D. and the resources and the intellect. And so he can rebuild S.H.I.E.L.D. as he kind of did in the comic story as well. And then that would make sense that he would be in Spider-Man Homecoming. Maybe he's trying to get Peter Parker to stay involved with him, because that brings me to my next projection or prediction. In the comics, Spidey, I won't give away a big spoiler about Spider-Man in Civil War, but I will say this. Spider-Man has a change of heart. He's on Tony's side at first, then he has a change of heart. And I don't want to say any more than that because it would spoil it. Will anything drive the new Spider-Man in this movie to have a change of heart and go over to the other side? Don't know. Have my suspicions, won't say what that could be. So I think that this is going to be a game changer as far as the makeup of these stories, just like Winter Soldier was. I think we're going to see that happen here again. And then I read today that the next Thor movie will then be another game changer. So I think that this, we had Winter Soldier, and it changed everything, right? We found out S.H.I.E.L.D. was really Hydra, and we had to get rid of Hydra. That continued on into Age of Ultron, and then that was a huge shift. And then Tony Stark funded the Avengers at that point. Now I think we are going to see another huge shift, except it's the logical progression, and that is that Tony Stark will fund S.H.I.E.L.D., which, when you think about it, he's kind of running S.H.I.E.L.D. anyway. He's got Maria Hill working for him. She's also really secretly working for Nick Fury anyway. That's where I think things are going to go, with registered superheroes working for S.H.I.E.L.D., all right? So that's my prediction. I think we won't see Iron Man per se, but we will see Tony Stark in future Marvel movies, and I think either one of two things is going to happen. We'll just see War Machine, or we are going to see somebody else take on the role of Iron Man and just wear the armor, which happened many, many times in the comics. Maybe Rhodey. Rhodey was Iron Man for a few years when Tony was struggling with alcoholism in the comics. So don't think that'll be in a Disney Marvel movie, but I think that the idea of Rhodey taking over will maybe one day play out. That's all I got for you, kids. I'm really excited about this movie. The positive reviews are glowing. This thing has already outsold Bat Fleck v Not So Superman in advanced ticket sales. So I'm really, really positive and expecting this to be a great movie. And I will, like I said, tomorrow give you a spoiler-free review on the Big Show with Chris Meaux podcast, and also a briefer than this video, 5 minutes, video review of Captain America Civil War. Also, one reminder, and I'll talk about it again tomorrow, but just to put it on your radar, kids, Free Comic Book Day is this Saturday, May the 7th. Ties in with whatever big comic book movie is coming out in May, which happens to be Captain America Civil War this year. So find your local comic book shop, 1-800-COMIC-BOOK. Call that number if you don't know. Go get yourself a free comic. Bring your kids. Bring in my girls. It's a tradition we have. Foster a love of literacy and imagination. And I think comic books may be the best way to do that. All right, kids. On my way now to wait about 3 hours for this, but it's going to be well worth the wait. And I will give you that review tomorrow. Maybe some first impressions on my way home tonight. Thanks for watching.